my folks end up dying broke. And so it's like, I don't want to die broke. I want to leave a legacy, which they did leave a legacy, you know, just their love. That's how it was.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I want to leave some more.
Welcome to the Conscious Investor. Let's get started. Conscious Investors, welcome back. I am absolutely thrilled, beyond thrilled to have my good friend Randi Jo on the show today to talk about her passive investing experience. And I am so confident that you are going to gain and grow from this because, you know, most of the time we just need somebody to show us the way, a guide. And I've watched Randi Jo and her husband flourish over the last couple of years and learned so much about passive investing. And that's why, and one, she's just a phenomenal human being. And I've had the pleasure and joy of being able to actually like see her in person 2, maybe 3 times by the time this airs, which is absolutely phenomenal. For having met online in a community and like, oh, okay, we've been friends and now we finally get to meet. So I just know that you're going to gain from this, from her experience. And I just want to say thank you, Randi Jo, for coming and joining us on The Conscious Investor.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much.
You are one of my favorite humans. I don't know if I've told you that, but you were like definitely like favorite human list. And that list is not, I know you all hear me say favorite humans all the time. I know I like most humans, but she's like a top 5er. Okay. So like, that's a short list.
Back at you, dear. I love it. Ditto.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, you guys have had a really interesting time investing passively, and I just love what you guys do. I'm just wondering, you know, how did you even discover this whole passive investing?
I guess you could say one weekend we were bored. My husband and I were bored, and we're here in Colorado and wanted to go do something different. And there was a single family event going on in Denver. And so fix and flip, that would just go check it out, you know, free thing, go check it out. And then that leaded to be, okay, let's go to the 3-day seminar in California. So we did that. And we met a lot of people there. And what was really nice, one local person introduced us to Adam at his function when he had it in Denver. And that was more passive. And Erica Niels was one of them too, that was there. And I think people might know her as well. And she was just a godsend for us. What do you guys do? What do you like to do? And she kind of steered us into the passive because we both had our full-time jobs at that time. And to make a long story short, that happened in 2019, just before COVID. So we started looking more into that. We did a fix and flip in Texas. And that was like, that's nice, one and done. Now what, you know? But now with the passive, still having to work full-time, I guess you could say, I'm choosing to work full time. And my husband's retired now for a year. We're doing more of the passive, and it's a lot smoother for us. You don't have to worry about general contractors and such like that. So that's kind of how it all started.
Okay. So what was your ultimate goal when you went down, you're like, we're bored. I mean, okay, seriously, how many people, except for there are some of us who are just those people, but you know, most people aren't going to be, we're bored. You know what? Let's go to this fix and flip seminar, right? So already you had to have been thinking something along. What was a goal of going to that besides, oh, it might be interesting?
I think I've always loved real estate. My folks always were into it as well. They would have like little rentals here and there, but nothing massive. But I really like the decoration. And that's kind of where I was for the fix and flip. Now, if I can turn that to an Airbnb or something like that. But then we found out that it's an avenue, right? It's a foundation. Yeah. And then you go more and you build on top of it. With the multifamily, it's a lot faster income. And that's kind of where we started, kind of like that, because I just love to decorate and do different things with homes. And that's kind of how it started. And then Max just followed along. Okay, whatever you want to do, let's do it. So it was pretty good.
Oh, I love it. They're like the most dynamic husband-wife duo. Seriously, Max is such a gem, and I love seeing him at events. He's the best networker. I think that he's just pure gold at networking.
He sure is.
I love it. So were you guys looking for cash flow? Were you just looking for something for down the road? Was there a monetary response, or did you just want to decorate? Because you can come decorate my house. I will fly you out.
Okay, perfect. I would love it. Okay. Yeah, it was more monetary because we're getting closer to retirement back then and wanting some other income coming in. We'd both very fortunate to have pensions, but still I wanted more freedom than just living on that pension check and being able to teach others on how to do cash flow as well and the passive investing. So that's kind of where it started at. Let's do this and maybe we can travel. So initially was, okay, we do the fix and flip, keep it as a burr. You could do the burr too, buy, rehab, whatever. I can always get that turned around. So
I think between the two of us, we can. And those of you who are listening and you haven't heard of burr, a lot of people have been doing the burr strategy without even knowing it for years, for decades, hundreds of years, right? And then Brandon Turner, when he was with Bigger Pockets, he coined that expression. So it's you buy it, you rehab it, you refi it, you rent it out, and then you're going to repeat it. Yes. You might do the rent, refi, reversed, those type of things can be kind of interchangeable, maybe simultaneous. So you guys are like, okay, we can do the burr and continue with that too. And it'd be nice, like a duplex. So if it's in the state that we want to go visit, say it's someone in Texas or Tennessee, wherever it is, we'd have that duplex. So one side we could rent out as Airbnb and we would just block out that couple weeks for us to travel and we'd have a full-time rental. That's kind of where we were at thinking. Mm-hmm. But then we did a little bit of more researching on the passive and the multifamily, which okay, that makes more sense to us to have more of a instant cash flow, which was nice to have it that way too. So we're kind of, I guess you have to start someplace, right? Do this research. Yes. And that's where I just started. It's no, let's try this. So we went down this avenue and then we started went to the Rod Khleif after that event and really learned a lot in networking there. Great people to help you and guide you. We both love the warrior community. So
yes, we do.
Fantastic community. Okay. I'm curious because I'm curious. We spend a lot of time in coaching programs and together on the being coached by our coach Faisal. We've also high performance coach. And then we've also spent time in a book club having real cool discussions about books. So I'm like, I'm curious. I don't even have to explain that to you. So when you were doing the flip, you're up in Colorado, the flip's down in Texas. And how are you guys managing it? What was that like?
It worked out fairly well because it was just before, it was 2019. Mm-hmm. We bought it in March or April of 2019 and we had, we as a joint venture. So there's a couple other, a father and son team from Colorado and us, Max and I. And then they had a general contractor that they flipped down there. So we got to know them through that other program we went through for the fix and flip. Okay. So it's how we got to know them. And so they had general contractor in Denver and they were able to fix and flip it there. And it was, I remember it was October, we were at a wedding. It was October 20th, 2020, when we got told that the house finally sold because we were investing in it and fixed and flipped it. So we were able to hold it. But instead of being 3 months to get it done with the COVID and the general contractor getting sick and then his crew getting sick, it was a lot. From then we didn't sell it till October of 2020. Wow. So it was a long time, but a lot of learning. Oh my gosh, I learned so much from that. And then, just different things that come from it, okay, this is what I want out of a home to fix and talk to the general contractor. I don't know. I don't know. It just was, I want to say I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, let's go on. That's kind of fix and flip for me. I just had to get it out of my system, out of that too.
I feel like I was talking with a friend this morning about Costco samples. Sometimes we just have to sample something. And that was you sometimes you have to sample the full cycle of it. And so you did that. I sampled a fix and flip. Okay, I've done that. I love it. Got the t-shirt. Let's go.
Yep.
Next, okay. Was it, when you look at, the gains, the return on your investment, did you feel like it was worth it? And granted, we are all like going to say, okay, there was a pandemic, there were all these other extenuating circumstances, but was it worth it ultimately?
It was, to say, like you said, sample it, to get it out. Like, okay, what if I didn't try it? That's the way I am. I just want to try it. If it's really eating inside of me, I want to try it. Let's do it. Let's do it. And I'm glad I did. We did take a loss, but that helps with the taxes too. So I guess if you look at that way, the money it's a good write-off.
Right. There
so
you go.
Thankfully it wasn't that much of a loss. It was enough, but it wasn't that much as some other people that I see. So it was a learning. Is like, okay, this is definitely something we can say we've done, but now we can go on to the more not as risky investments with the passive and the multifamily.
I really appreciate your vulnerability, because I think a lot of times we really shield the world from, and you're not, I know you well, but a lot of times people will take that hit and they'll take the loss and they don't want to let anyone know about it because they feel it's a reflection of them or their performance or their skill level or something, versus this is just how this one went down. And it just is. It was beyond my control. So, okay, we're done. We're moving on. So I really appreciate that.
Yes.
So then, okay, then how did you get into the multifamily from fix and flip to when did you start investing passively in apartments? Let's start there. I have so many questions.
When we started doing the passive, we attended one of Rod's boot camps, virtual boot camps in May of 2020. And so that's where we learned a lot, and just his mindset is just really Rod's mindset. It just helped me so much to think outside the box and continue to think of this is doable, and we can do it even with a full-time job. And that's kind of where we started. It took a little bit. We had a coach there, and we got into our first investment in February of 2021 was our first investment. So it took about almost a year to invest, but it was okay because we had all these deals that we could look through and the due diligence and stuff. And it's like, I'm not going to just jump in and just throw this money down and hope, like, when you're fishing, you hope for something, right? But this is, I want to do my due diligence, make sure it's right, and have the coach to help me with that too. So that's kind of our first investment. And what's nice about now, we just got they sold it, so we got our investment back. So it's exciting. So within 18 months, so we've already got our investment back with that money we put down in 2021.
That is the best feeling ever. It's not that you get your money back necessarily. It's like when you see that money grow and expand and everything. Are you comfortable sharing numbers with us, or
sure.
Like what happened with it? Tell us a little bit about that investment, and tell us how, because you were looking through a lot of other opportunities. So how did you select this investment? How did you sift through the other investments, like that vetting process? And some people say this, and here's where I kind of have a little beef with people, right? Like sometimes we have to have these formal vetting processes, these checklists. And yet I think a lot of times, to a lot of people who are just new to passive investing, those checklists, although they're well-intended, sometimes they're very overwhelming. And I know we looked through several investments before placing our first. And so as passive investors, all this to say, I'm like, you may have a formal process. That's great. If you don't, what was your process?
I'm a very gut intuition person. And sometimes it stirs me right. I would say 80% of the time it does, and maybe 20% it doesn't. But I think it's just getting to know the people who we were investing with, the networking, definitely getting a feel for who they were, and the trust, and what we've seen in the Warrior program too. And that's really what helped there. And it wasn't much, but it was enough. I think 25,000 we put down for our first investment. Let's just try it, because it's like, it's a lot of money into some, but then another, it's like, okay, let's just do this. And then that's kind of where we started out at. And they were really good about monthly reports, how the place was going, sending us pictures, how they rehab this. I think it was a 15 unit, and it was in Georgia. So it was a small place, but it was like a mom and pop investment off market. And so they got a really good deal on it. And so then we were able to get more, the return on investment, the ROI on it too, better. They were hoping maybe 6%. We ended up getting 10, which is nice. And what's really cool now is everybody, but a few people, they refinanced it, but they still have it. So they're hoping to keep it maybe 10, 20 years down the road. So we still have an infinity on it. We got our money back, which we can now take that money and invest in something else, which is so great. And so with the quarterly infinity we get back is nice too, like a little change is tax free. We get that money to also put toward another investment if we want. So I was really excited that one, it made me feel good that it worked out. And now it's like, it's lighting the fire to want to do more and more. So we are in now 6 other investments.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of passive investments. Like that's really, so, a lot of people that are listening, like you, amazing conscious investors, if you're new to this, you're thinking about, typically we're looking to double our investor money within the scope of, 3 to 5 years. And now we kind of say it could go extended out to 7, but to be able to double your money, if you have 6 investments and those are all doubling, now you could go place 12 investments and you're getting those distributions off of those. So you're having that passive income, that mailbox money. So does it feel really passive to you? Because sometimes, we say it's passive and then we end up, oh, maybe we do more work. I don't know.
I think it's really, and I think the passive part, it does feel passive. The only thing is I do not like doing taxes, and that's where I struggle, but it's a great investment. So it's like, if everybody knows me, that's that time of year. I hate that part, but the passive piece, it's worth it. It's so worth it because sometimes you think, okay, I'm going to start a business, but then you have all this tax stuff you got to take care of. And sometimes with the mindset, it's like, ooh, that's too hard. Because you have all this tax, but it's like, I've gotten past that. It's like, okay, what if I do make $1 million plus in the next 5 years? Oh my gosh, my tax bracket's going to go up, but so be it.
Yeah.
And I think I always had that mindset. It's okay, I cannot handle it, but it's like, it takes a team on that part of it. So that's when you have a CPA that does real estate and all that stuff too. So it's like, it's okay to do that. But I think the passive piece is so nice. It is so nice. And what was nice for us in the passive part is that we were very fortunate. We paid off our house 7 years ago, and we were able to take that equity in our home and do a HELOC loan on it. So we're our own bankers now. So that's how we were able to invest in these other places. So that's kind of another trick that, what you don't think, your house is paid for off. It's great. No taxes, all you have to do is pay taxes, but you got to make that house work for you too. And that's kind of where we're at.
So two things. I'm going to ask you a question, but before I do, I want to circle back to the tax element right there. And that rub right there. I don't like taxes at all. I don't know that I've ever shared this, maybe, or it's been a while since I have with you conscious investors, but back in my early 20s, what I call my previous life, not because I did anything shady, but I had a previous marriage and it was a very destructive situation. And one of the things that I learned when I exited that marriage was that all of my bank accounts suddenly were frozen by the IRS. And now I'm just, kind of trying to get to a safe spot in life. And now I'm trying to pay for life and I can't because everything's frozen because my ex-husband didn't pay taxes. So I have a very One, I like to follow rules anyway, but when it comes to taxes, I understand how real it can be if you don't do what you're supposed to do. Your life will instantly get shut down. Well, I don't know how instant it was. That's over 20 years ago now. I just remember having to clean up a mess and resolve it. And so, we started working with a CPA when my husband and I were working with a CPA. We wrote a check for $40,000 on top of all our estimates because of the income that he had earned, and the deflating look on his face was just horrible. He's like, we had to pay how much? Full circle. Now we work with a boutique company that is for entrepreneurs and real estate professionals called Mode Wealth. And they are full service. So they have an attorney on staff. They have a CPA. They have a financial planner. They have everybody in house. So it's just all buttoned down and keeps us functioning and flowing the correct way. Last year, we saved over $12,000 just because they were on top of things, and they were able to pivot mid-year to say, oh, we need to implement this this is where you're at income-wise. This is what we need to implement. So having that type of relationship is seriously critical. If you're listening to this, I would highly say, go check out Mode Wealth. We'll leave notes in the show. We'll leave notes down below in the show notes. Apparently I can't get my words out correctly. So, okay. I'm like, I got to share that one. It's really critical. And it may help you as well. Really love the company and the people behind it. So were you and Max always united on how you're going to invest and like when husbands and wives and partners are trying to figure out, do we get a HELOC? Do we use that HELOC? I mean, the house is paid off. Usually there's one partner that is risk adverse and one that's risk ready. And so how did that work out?
Yes. At first I wanted to do it and he didn't. So I think what I did is I educated him on it. We listened to a lot of podcasts, all this kind of stuff. And so we educate each other on it. And that's kind of where it came down to, well, we have this sitting here. Stock isn't doing that best. We might as well just take another avenue to invest our money. And that's how it started. It took about a couple months for him to come along. Come on, let's do it. But he's so happy he did, and we got it. We were very fortunate because we closed in January of 2020 and at our bank there. So I think it was February or March, they quit closing out. We went through Wells Fargo and they still don't have HELOCs now. Because I checked, because we end up having to do is we had the interest only rate and it was 3.3%. So that was really good then. But then now I called them about 3 months ago and we got locked in at 4.65.
Wow.
So for the next 5 years.
That is amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's an avenue that way too that you can do.
How did you explain that to him?
Let's listen to this podcast. This is what people are doing, the HELOC. And he was the one that took initiative and paid the house off right away. When we paid it, we bought our house in 2004 and we had it paid off within 7 years.
Wow.
Because we stopped investing in our 401ks at work. So that money we would put in there, we would pay it, and then we'd make, we lived off of one income and all his money went into savings. And we took that balloon payment at the end of the year and we're able to put so much down.
Wow.
So that's kind of kudos to him for thinking that way, because he didn't want that payment.
Wow. I love that. I love that so much. And I love that you guys were able to, figure out, wait, we could actually leverage this and use this. Now, was that something you were already inclined to think towards just with your parents dabbling in real estate before, or is that just from listening to podcasts and everything? Listening to podcasts and educating myself on that. Yeah, definitely. It's kind of where I'm at. It's like, okay, my folks end up dying broke. And so it's like, I don't want to die broke. I want to leave a legacy, which they did leave a legacy, just their love. That's how it was. But it's like, I want to leave some more legacy too, whether it is nonprofit, looking into doing nonprofit for affordable affordable homes.
something like that too. We're kind of looking down that avenue as well.
Oh my God. I absolutely love that. Now, have you ever decided or looked into doing self-direct on your 401ks? Do you love passive investing that much, or do you want to keep that as diversification?
We are currently looking at a solo 401 rolling over retirement funds from our stock into the solo right now. We're in the process of that.
Okay.
So we'll be able to be the checkbook, control of our own checkbook for the real estate. So looking forward to that piece.
Dang, that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
That like gets you into so many more deals. Wow. So
Yes.
I've had a few investors tell me recently that they're like, we want to wait on investing because our stocks are down so much. We want to wait till they bounce back. I'm like, you want to wait till they bounce back? Really? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I was just on with our financial advisor for that part, and he was encouraging me not to take everything out and roll it into solo. It's like, yeah, but, it's like, I don't want to get down to where we've invested, we're broke even. So we have some equity there, I guess you can say, in our stock.
Right.
And I want to grab what we have left to put into that solo so we have more control. And so we're kind of on that. And our advisor is like, oh, are you sure? Are you sure? But he doesn't know the real estate. He doesn't know what he doesn't know. And that's how it is. He's into the stock. He's educated in that part, where we're educated in the real estate.
I had our financial planner that we used to use. Actually, I can picture this moment vividly, standing in front of a school when I was still teaching, speaking with him actually about this time of year. And as preparing to roll everything over, and he was just like, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You don't. And I just told him, I said, but real estate has made me money and made me sense. Like this makes sense. I mean, and our stocks were doing well at that time, but it just made sense also for me, and I'm not saying everybody needs to put all I do believe in diversification, but for my own knowledge, like as they say, invest in what you know. I'm like, well, I don't know stocks, but I know real estate and I know it really well. So it made a lot of sense to Steve and I to do that. So it's always interesting to hear other people's stories and journeys on that. How do we think about it? Because we're always our experiences are different. And so it's interesting to hear. Oh, yes. I love that.
Yes. So I'm excited about that new journey that way too, with the having control of, okay, now I can just write the check, because it's rolled over into secure for real estate too. So it's nice. And another tax break there.
Yeah. I love how easy it is. Like with the company we've gone through, it's just so easy to wire the money wherever we need to go. Boom, done. Almost too easy. I mean, it's online banking. And it's absolutely incredible. So, okay. Do you have any caution to people who are looking to passively invest, things that you would look in the rearview mirror and you're like, I would ask these questions, or I would do this, or any advice that you would have?
I think the caution part too is like, if you don't have the money to tie up, don't do it. And that's really, it is. You got to make sure you're putting that money there. It's not out of sight, out of mind, but it kind of is. And so that's really caution there. So that's what I've had to, if I don't feel like I can't, do an investment, I'm not going to do it on that part. I would, and definitely check with networking, build that rapport with whoever you're going to be investing with. And just get that, whether go for coffee or just talk on the phone. And maybe it's a friend of a friend that that you trust, that you're going to be going into, but definitely build that rapport before you say, yeah, let's do it. Hopefully it works, but you want to make sure that it's going to be working 99.9% of the time. There might be a little risk. Everything's risky.
Right.
But so is crossing the street. So it's kind of like how I am looking at it right now, with the economy and stuff. It's like, we got to figure out something that's going to help us, because I have 2 years left and I retired from my career from the state of Colorado. So I'm excited for that, for a new venture. That's where I'm at. And so I kind of want to just have my ducks in a row here, and then eventually maybe raising capital or having more when I get there. But right now, as of working from 9 to 5, passive investing is the way to go for us right now.
And so many active investors want to just simply be passive investors. It's incredible. A lot of people get into the active side of investing because they don't have the ability to invest in multiple deals at once. And so that's their way to get into multiple deals, to build their ability to passively invest more. So it's a wonderful position to be in. And I know we've enjoyed being passive investors and the gains off of that. And that whole, like you said, out of sight, out of mind, like, oh, there's a distribution. Isn't that lovely? I like that. This works well.
It does. And what's nice is it pays off our mortgage on our house. So our distributions there's a little bit left over, which is good too. So it's kind of nice. You're getting free money, because you're getting that to pay off that mortgage too, which is nice.
Money you can use right now.
Yep.
Right now. I love it. Randi Jo, is there anything else that you think everyone should know about, your experience, or if they were just starting to get into passive investing, anything else that we've left off, you think?
I think just do your due diligence, do your reading and stuff on what passive investing really is. I know there's going to be a risk. There's fear. But like I tell my clients, it's like on the other side of fear is usually the rainbows. It's everything, it's stuff that you just need to. I think it's really where you want to see yourself, the vision too. Is this really where you want to go? And if you want to be passive investing, continue to go forward. It's going to be struggles, ups and downs. And there's some investments that you wish you could have got into, but you got there too late. Yeah. But it is okay. It's okay, because there's plenty out there. There's more fish in the sea right there. It doesn't mean that doesn't mean that there's not more opportunities out there. And I think that's it. Some stuff that we've looked at, we're too late in investing, which I feel bad. But then it's like something better comes along. It's like, okay, we're good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to come along. Yeah. Taking that first step is definitely important. And I remember having all those feelings when we were wiring the money the first time and everything that associated with it. Now it's like, whatever, it's going to be fine. It'll work out. But initially there's that, that's a lot of money.
Are we going to get it back?
Did we give it to the right people? We didn't know too many people when we first started. So it's like, did we put it in the right place? So spoiler, we did. We totally did. And it worked out very well. So
good.
Oh my goodness. Well, if anyone would like to connect up with you, would you like anyone to connect up with you?
Sure. I would love it. Yeah. If there's anything I can do to help, just ask me questions. Definitely.
You can tell Randi Jo is one of the easiest people to talk to, and she knows so much. You know so much more than you give yourself credit for. I know that because I've been around you for a long time now. So I'm like, golly, she's really, really knowledgeable and really supportive of people. So what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
I guess it would be good one be Randi Jo Pieper, RandiJo Pieper, Pieper @gmail.com.
Awesome.
That would be a good one. And then also, if you want to call me at 406-359-1965 or text me, there is great.
Awesome. Randi Jo, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on The Conscious Investor and sharing your story.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So much fun. I love what I do. I get to hang out with my friends, and everybody gets to benefit because I know really extraordinary people. Conscious investors, adventure belongs on the trail, not in your investing. So please, please remember, if you need support in your personal life or your financial life, make sure you use the link in the show notes to schedule a time to meet with me, either for a strategy coaching call or for a discovery call into investing, because investing in apartments will absolutely change your life, and high performance coaching will absolutely level up your life in every capacity. Until next time, live big, love bigger. What's the big deal about investing in apartments? Why is it better than investing in a slew of single-family homes? I've compiled a lot of information on why investing in a multifamily, also known as apartments, will help you reach your investment goals. Head over to threekeysinvestments.com and download the Why Invest in Multifamily guide today.